is going on, Cubs fan? We're back for another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video. And I don't know about you guys, I'm pretty nervous about Grand Arena this time because we're setting two fleets on defense. I already hate fleet quite a lot, but now we're going to have to deal with fleet twice as much in Grand Arena. What fleets are we going to be placing here? What is the strategy going to be? I think a lot is going to change. And so, of course, to talk about this, talk about the nerves, the anxiety, and strategy, I've brought on one of the strategic greats in Galaxy of Heroes, the one and only. It's just Ian! What's going on, Ian?
I love it, dude. I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty excited to talk about this, actually. I've been doing a couple videos on this, and I have some new insights since those videos, and I'm very pumped to talk about it with you, so I'm totally down. Let's go talk about it, baby.
That's good stuff. Let's get right into it then, Cubs fam. We have got fleets right here. So, Ian, I'm going to let you start. Now, I've got a strategy that I have kind of come up with, and I'm thinking of how to approach this. But tell me what you've learned as you've gone through this first. I'll let you start.
Okay, so this is a bit lengthy. I'm going to try to, not go too hard on this, but as of right now...
I'm about to fall asleep, is what you're telling me.
No, don't fall asleep. I mean, if you want, grab a pillow. I got one back there. You can borrow it.
All right, I was just playing. I am making a ships video, fam. Bear with me here.
Dude, people who don't like ships, they can go somewhere else, man. Ships is where it's at right now, baby. Let's go.
Wow, this guy. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna have to go somewhere else right now because I don't like ships.
Yeah,
so
you can just like walk out of your room. I got this video. Don't worry.
I'll just leave my frame there. Go ahead.
Okay,
Ian.
guys.
That's fine.
This is what I'm doing, and I think this is probably the best bet for those of you who have. I'm gonna say it. A relic. Not really relic. Why did I say relic? A 7-star Radis, the fleet for the Resistance. If you have a 7-star Radis right now, you can pretty much beat every single team in the game except for the Negotiator. But you can beat those with a little bit of, I would say RNG. It's not as consistent at the moment, right?
Right.
But you can beat the Malevolence so dang easily. I have a video coming here shortly talking about this and going over it. And I think this is some of the best fleet stuff I've seen in a very long time in regards to countering teams, especially now with having to deal with two fleets in GAC. So I'm going to say with what I'm doing and what if you guys do have a 7-star Radis, definitely use that as your Malevolence counter. If you guys want to check out my video in a little bit, I think it's going to be coming out in a day or two. It's a great counter. Also can counter the Rebels, even if it's the new Y-Wing with Biston. Also can counter the Empire as well as the First Order. So that's a great one. So I'm going to be using it on offense, actually. I was going to use it on defense. If you guys probably don't have a 7-star, use that 5-star Radis. Throw in whoever you kind of want. And I think it'll be okay as well. Not going to probably get the most holds, but it's still a pretty decent fleet with the AoEs from the Race Falcon. So yeah, that's my first one.
That's great because that frees you up to place things like the Malevolence on defense. Whereas I think a lot of people are going to be gun shy to place too much on defense. I know I'm going to be in that camp. I'm showing my Radis right now. I don't even have it unlocked.
Is it sexy?
Dude. I hate ships, man. I should probably do the event, right? I just hate those events. I got my finalizer begrudgingly just because I knew I needed it for Kylo.
Dude, you want to hear something funny, dude? Is I got my finalizer 5-star, but it's not even like level up at all. It's level 1. But the funny thing is that I was going balls to the wall on my Rey when she was first out as a GL, and I thought you needed, because at that time we didn't know if you needed a 5-star or 7-star fleet. For like the Radis, so I wailed on the Radis, dude. But guess what?
You're
what is that?
benefiting
4 or
now.
5 months later, it's paying off, baby. It's paying off. You love to see it now.
This is probably a mark of shame right here, Cubs fam. I'm happy to admit it. I should have my Radis unlocked. I should be doing that event.
Man.
I just have hated it. But at least I got the finalizer unlocked. I got it to 5 stars. I'm good to go, and we'll talk about that. So, all right. So, Radis. So, pro tip number 1, say if you've got a good Radis, save it for Malevolence counters, video pending for Ian. Okay, what's your next tip?
Yes, sir. My next one is going to be the Rebels countering the GKs. And I'm going about this assuming that the guys are going to be setting both the Malevolence and Negotiator. So I got the Malevolence kind of countered with my Radis, and now I'm going to be using my new Rebels. And it's a pretty perfect time, actually, because we've been farming from the Grief Kargan node, the Y-Wing up. At least I have been for the Rebel Y-Wing. Right. So that makes it a very, very viable counter to very standard, not very crazy of a Negotiator, but a very standard one with, I'd say, Houndstooth, 5s, and Anakin. That's a pretty standard one. And with what I use with the MILF, the Y-Wing, and also the Biston's U-Wing, I can counter that team very, very reliably.
Mm,
So I'm going to be using that from here on out to counter the negotiators, unless they go about it a bit different. I'm not too sure about it. Probably see some GAC history about, oh, he set the BTL. Maybe I don't want to use that. Then I'll probably kind of go maybe mirror it or maybe use my own malevolence, right? So, but if that's like a very standard team, I'll be using the Radis versus the malevolence, and also using the rebels versus the negotiator.
okay.
And now that makes it so I can set my own malevolence and negotiator on defense. And it's gonna be some fun I'm gonna have here, because if that does go the way I want it to go, that's like
Mm,
two very strong fleets. If the guy does not have a very strong fleet, or maybe he just kind of didn't care, he just wanted to save his own malevolence and negotiator, then he's gonna be totally fine. But if he doesn't, he wants to set one of those really good teams like the other GK or the GG, then man, I'm going to be probably crushing that fleet zones. I think that would be really, really good to see. And maybe you get some new teams here, some new little counters, because I mean, look at this. We got like, what is this, 8 now capital ships we got in the game? There's gonna
right.
be a lot of probably new ones that we're gonna be coming here shortly seeing, and some probably new counters and just like random stuff we're gonna be creating here as well. Now we're gonna be using them a lot more in GAC. So I am very pumped about the fleets here. I don't know why. I like the fleets. It could be
Oh
because I
my
got my
god.
RAS 7-star now. I don't know what it
This
is,
guy.
but I love it.
I brought on the only guy excited about this, I think. No, I'm just playing.
Dude, I've
I'm
done like
actually
4
I'm
or 5
legit a
videos in
little
last week.
excited about it too, just because I like new strategy opportunities in Grand Arena, even if it comes via Fleet. And I'm actually not hating Fleet as much as I used to, because they've gone away from releasing new ships that are that have pilots. And so I am now able to participate a little bit more without feeling like I have to farm something I don't want to farm. I think the big question here that I think everyone needs to ask themselves, that Ian is basically getting at without saying it, is I need to be able to beat a negotiator and a malevolence. Is the worst case
Yeah,
scenario that we're going to
that's a
run
very
into here.
bad case.
Ideally, you're not going to run into that scenario, right? Ideally, you only see one of them. When you're in
Yeah.
the upper ends of the game where Ian's at, you're probably going to run into that a lot more than where I'm at or where other people are at, maybe a little bit lower. I'm not expecting to see both of them, but I am still personally going to save my negotiator for for offense, because that's my reliable fleet, and I'm also going to save my rebels because they're going to be able to handle some of those other teams that are pretty strong as well. And then I'm
Yep.
actually, you know what, I'm actually going to place on defense is my first order team. And the reason why for my first
All
order
right.
is because I did get some work in on my what's it called, the finalizer. And then my first order
Mhm.
characters are pretty decked out now because I've been working on Kylo Ren. I
Heck
mean,
yeah.
obviously, I don't have my first order tie and my special forces tie quite yet, because I did ditch that farm a while ago, but I'm coming back to it now that I'm done with Luke. But the tie silencer,
Oh, dude.
I've got a Relic
So hot.
7 crew. My Kylo Ren is up there along with my Stormtrooper. Phasma's a little bit behind, but she'll be there soon. And then we got some, obviously some Gear 12 there. And then my, again, SF tie falling a little bit behind. But these ships are decent. All that I
Yeah.
really want out of my second fleet, like I'm kind of looking at it as my normal fleet strategy is kind of just like fleet's a wash. And so that second team for me on defense is kind of a wash too, but I don't want it to be too easy either. But that's just kind of where
Yeah.
I'm at.
There's actually a lot of things you can do with, if I'm sure a lot of people will be doing this, like what you're doing is not something like probably the best second defensive fleet, but there's definitely ways you can go about that fleet with like reinforcements that can kind of throw off some of these counters, because
Yeah.
like one big key thing here is in I would say really any fleet here, if you do bring in a new TIE bomber as like one of the first reinforcements,
Oh
well,
yeah.
you're gonna be inflicting burning on all those rebels, and if that is a rebels fleet that are going to be using to counter that, gosh, you're gonna be really stopping them, and you're gonna buy so much
Yeah.
more time for your own fleet on defense to get some big hits in, and that's a very scary thing. I think rebels is going to be, I would say right now, going to be a pretty heavy offensive team, but it's going to probably lean back towards defensive teams now with the TIE bomber, because of how strong that reinforcement really is with the burning. Because you really can't do much of anything if you're a rebel and you get burned. It's such a very strong thing,
Mm,
and I think it's worth mentioning because people working on that for that new Palpatine,
yeah.
5-star is when you can unlock the maxed out reinforcement. That's a very, very powerful ship right now in the game.
Yeah.
Even if you don't
Oh
even
yeah.
have a full empire built up, you can still use that in the reinforcement. You're gonna be just fine. It's a very, very strong
I think there's
thing.
a lot of ships that maybe because they're not in the meta spotlight. A good example is the Rebel Y-wing. Honestly, it's not kind of in that Rebel spotlight, but it can still make a big difference in the tide of battle. It's a ship that I'm farming not just for Jedi Luke, but also because I want, or for Jedi Master Luke, but also for this second fleet that I'm going to be utilizing at some point. And so I think you kind of got two angles of looking at it. For those of you who are more focused on ships and you got really developed fleets, I think what Ian's getting at is very solid. I mean, actually, for me personally, I don't really plan on tripping people up on defense for fleets. I just want to survive the round and get 2 single shot wins and try to get them tripped up on my characters. So maybe not the best way to go about it because fleets are a bigger opportunity now that there's 2 there. But that's kind of my mentality with fleets, is more offensive centric. Ian has a better defensive plan. And so depending where you guys are at, I think there's probably something to learn from both sides of things. But obviously the ideal scenario is going to be able to beat a Malevolence and a Negotiator without the Malevolence and Negotiator. Sounds like Ian's good to go.
That's the big boy. I mean, you can say the same thing about the GLs and your just other, characters and the other GC stuff. I mean, that's the same thing because I've been wanting to, build my Luke. I have now Luke counter to Kylo. I got my Vader counter to the Rey, and now I'm going to have these for fleet. I mean, that's a very powerful tool to have. And I don't know if many people will have that. I mean, I'm sure people at my level will have that, but not many people can say they can do that. And be able to counter these big boy teams, man. It's a very, very big task. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking really forward to the whole fleet's perspective of this with my new stuff I've been building, and looking forward to building more fleets here to kind of build it out a little bit, not too much, because I still want to have some more stuff going towards my GL Luke, because that's a pretty big investment right now. But I definitely want to invest a little bit more into my fleet because I do have a lot of fun playing that. Especially, I think I'll have even more fun playing it with GAC, now having to worry about 2 fleet zones. So it's going to be a pretty fun time. And yeah, that's pretty much
you were the right person to bring on this video, Ian. I want to thank you for coming on.
I got you.
It's a perspective that I don't have quite as much because I'm just not hyped about fleet. I'm more just playing fleet because it's there. And so this is really good advice, and I think a great place that people can learn. For those of you who have been really farming hard on fleets and trip people up, and hopefully get some more dubs checked off for your Grand Arena. So big fat dubs.
Big fat dubs, baby. Oh yeah. You ever say that? Big fat dubs.
No, that needs to be your slogan, I think.
Big fat dubs from Ian.
There you go. Big fat dubs from Ian. All right, everyone. Funny. Thanks so much for joining us for this video. Ian, always great to have you on the channel. We did a video for his channel as well. I'll drop a link down below in the description to that as soon as he sends it to me. So go check that out. And as always, my brothers, don't forget,